celebrating the 25th edition of the International Literature Festival Berlin, which was started in 2001 by Ulrich Schreiber. The title of today's event, as we've heard, is Ours, Writing Black Communities, and the discussion will focus on Black history and community in literature. Our guest and the star of the moment is Philip B. Williams. Very excited to have you here. So, I'd like to introduce you, Philip. You're an award-winning writer. Philip's debut novel, Ours, was published last year and has already been translated into French, German, and Italian. He is also the author of the full-length poetry collections Mutiny, which was published in 2021, and Deep in the Interior, which was published in 2016. He has won numerous prizes. For Mutiny, Williams was presented with the 2022 American Book Award, and for Thief in the Interior, he won the Cape Tufts Discovery Award, a Whiting Award, and the Lambda Literary Award, all in 2017. So congratulations for all those awards. He is currently the Picador Guest Professor for Literature at the University of Leipzig. So in conversation with the wonderful poet, translator, festival curator, Jose Oliver, Jose once quoted Gabriel Celaya, a Basque poet who wrote in Spanish, and famously said, "La poesía es un arma cargada de futuro." I can't speak Spanish, but I hope the Spanish speakers will forgive me. It means poetry is a weapon loaded with the future. So, dear Philip, it's an honor to be discussing your work with you, a work which takes a long, hard, unflinching look at the past and presents it to us, your readers, in a shroud of poetry to power our dreams of a better future. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Does this work, or should I come here? This is
I feel like it's far away. Okay.
no, still I saw someone do like this when they close.
So, welcome to ELB. It's your first time at this literature festival, I think.
Yes.
Great. But you've been living in Germany for about 6 months now. And I'd like to ask you, because you'll be going back at the end of this month to the States. Yeah. What's a key memory of Germany or Leipzig, or both, that you'll be taking with you when you go back?
Well, the fact that people come to literary festivals and events and readings,
Yeah.
the enthusiasm of the readership here, people who have never heard about me, and to just show up and have some kind of interest in even buying books.
Yeah.
I'll always remember that. Also, I like the weather here, and people, oh yeah, I get that reaction. Because I don't like the heat and I like rain.
Oh, okay.
And so it worked out.
Okay, okay.
It worked out.
But I remember watching a talk that you had recently. I can't remember who that was with, and you said that you had trouble with mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, that's it. Because there's no netting on most of the windows because they open in 16 different ways. Yeah, I was an 8 of
It must be tasty.
Yeah, they like
you.
we must change the subject.
Okay. As I've already said, we'll be talking about writing Black communities, and we've been invited to put a specific focus on this epic and beautiful novel, Ours. But I do have a special request, which I know that you are kind of wondering how that will go. I wondered if I could ask you to read some of a poem from Mutiny to kick off. I love this poem.
Why do you love this?
I'd like to say why after you've read it, if that's okay. So I was thinking just up to here, just this page.
Oh, okay.
Or which one? You can also read all of it.
I think, because
You can read all
I'll
of
read
it.
all.
Okay, good. So I've asked for this poem for a particular reason, which we'll discuss. Okay.
Final poem as a request for mascot for White Rain Journal, or they sure do love them some black pain. Tell us the one about them cheering and the bullets they eat. Tell us the one about them roaches making love to your feet. Tell us the one by your grandmammy hands, calloused and cooking, cancer everywhere but her ass. Tell us about her mouth too. Oh Lordy Jesus, reach around, that scared me half to death. She make pretty sounds. Tell us the one about white people cutting you in line. Did your neck do that back and forth finger wagging, lip slipping? No, she didn't. Tell us the one about the woman, the rope, and the bridge. Or there was a baby that fell out and bumped his head on the waterfall on the drinking board? Or nah? Is you submitting to my journal? Or nah? You spoken word? Or nah? You hoping white gets his just due? Flipping the bird? Or nah? All the boys in the hinterland killed because of the hoodie monster. You guys any more of them police poems with the hippity hop references with them thugs and the trees? I sure love me some hippie hop references, but why thugs always smoking on them trees? Don't they know their history is to run from burning trees? The way you write nigga makes me think of my mama. Tell us the one about music coming from the eyes. Was that purple rain or the color purple, or is it a surprise? Tell us stolen milk. Wash my shearing when I'm gone. Don't let them see me this way. I'm so glad Jesus is my home. Got any more of them poems by Seeley? Got some give us free in your pocket, your portfolio, or your sparkling CV? How much for the Wiki EBT lost bus car sign? How much for slave wenches wearing watermelons as bonnets? What you got up in that verse? What you got up in that verse? A couple of guns, a couple of blunts, a couple of suicide doors, Dio chokers, all that shit you were doing? That one gets me so hard wet at night in the dark. The dog got a poem too sounding just like a knife sliding through some cornbread, soft as a baby. Tell us the one again about the baby.
Already struck by the title, first of all. Final poem as request for mascot for White Ram Journal, or They Sure Do Love Them Some Black Pen. And I just felt that this poem takes a series of very unpleasant, perhaps violent, negative experiences and emotions, and uses humor to kind of get control of that. And for readers, especially people who are writers and who know these experiences, it's kind of like a gift to say, look, here we can laugh at this together. And I just found that very special. I also think that it's an excellent example of reversing the gaze. So you've got people who are used to being consumed, right? Black writers are used to being consumed and viewed for a very specific lens, and you're turning that around. And I just thought that was wonderful. And I think it also explains not the right word. It highlights or shows how creative writing from Black perspectives are kind of forced to function within a predominantly white literary context, right? But these are things that we have to deal with, and it felt to me that somehow within this context, you managed to produce Owls. Owls had to make its way into the world through lots of different, competing forces, and it was conceived, it was developed, it was nurtured, it was written, probably rewritten many times, and eventually published. So I would say congratulations for that, because that's a massive achievement. And I also wanted to ask, how did you manage it?
16 years.
16 years.
I started when I was an undergrad, and I was too young to start something like this. But I was ambitious. I had the story in my mind. It began as a short story.
But we have to say how many pages it is.
No, because the people
Oh, okay.
intimidated. It's a good book, buy it, it goes fast. But no, it is. It's just under 600. It's like 576. And CEC should sit.
But you can't really hide it. I mean, look, it's on there.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
It's thick.
Yeah.
And so it took a while to write, because I had to become the person who could write something like that.
Sure.
And do research and things like that. And so the ambition that I had when I was younger had to eventually morph into patience and also love. There was a way that I had to engage with, the characters in a loving way.
Sure.
Especially this book is 2018 to 2022. This is 4 years of straight work, starting over.
And I want to say you had a very supportive editor. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah.
And agent.
And agent. Shout out
Which is
to the
rare.
editors and the agents in the house, because this is, yeah. I think I read that you used to send chapters to the editor.
An agent, yeah.
The agent, right.
Yeah, my agent Bill Clegg, I was sending him one chapter at a time. So he read it like it was a serial novel.
Yes. It reads a bit like that.
Yeah. It's very episodic.
Yeah. Like back in the, sorry, I'm going on the detour here, but Charles Dickens, back in the day, used to write like that, right? He'd write a chapter, be published in the paper. Ours could have been one of those back in the day books.
If only people read papers like that.
Yeah.
But it could have, they've been called cliffhangers. I don't like to call them cliffhangers, but there's a way that the ending hinges on a kind of suspense.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. The best-selling author, Brit Bennett, describes your novel as a beautifully written and ambitious epic about the complexity of freedom. And in a starred review on Kirkus Reviews, it's called a gorgeously written, evocative saga of Black American survival and transcendence. And I was honestly astounded by how beautiful your language is. It's breathtaking. Actually, I'm very jealous. I was reading it and feeling like this should have been me. Anyway, so it feels like a book that is deeply rooted in oral tradition, the oral tradition of storytelling. And people who know me know about my obsession with Toni Morrison. And I feel comparisons between this novel and her work are completely justified. All of you saying this really amazing, yes, high honor but it's not and it's a book that demands attention. It doesn't lend itself to binge.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely not. And some people online have said that it felt like a collection of interwoven short stories. And I remember at points when I was reading, I felt like I was reading a dream or a series of dreams. It's kind of taken me to that state. How would you yourself describe this book?
How would I describe it? Epic is the word that I used even when I was trying to get someone to buy it, to convince my agent to invest in the length, because I knew it was going to be a long book.
Mm.
I didn't go out of my way to write a long book, but as I was writing it, it was presenting itself as all of these characters need their own particular kinds of attention because history didn't give it to them.
Yeah.
And so everyone who appeared, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that length is really what me to honor them. So I call it epic. I call it Black surrealism. Some people call it magical surrealism or magical realism.
Yeah.
Maybe through Marquez, but I slide away from that. I'm not against it, but I like the idea of the surreal being a space of dreams that is in contrast to reality, in response to reality that constantly undermines everything. And so for me, Black surrealism is putting on the forefront this dreamscape of a revolution, of a future that is deserved, one that is earned, and one that is possible. And so a lot of the magical elements that happen, some of them are a part of the characters who have these conjured abilities, but some of it is just the way that the world in which they live is just rich with their own imagination.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I wanted to ask, 16 years in the making, does the end product now match your vision for what you started out with all those years ago?
It supersedes and
Wow.
Wo meinst du jetzt? Bei dem Audio-Mixer?
I never thought that this would come out of me.
Oder wo?
And
Bei
as I
dem
was
Audio-Mixer?
writing it, I
Also,
would do weird things. I'm glad I left alone. I would pace back and forth talking to the creative industry. You want to do that? How do you do that? You got to get your stuff out there. Okay, I'll do it. And so it was this conversation I was having about spiritual. And so much of the book is about connecting to spirit. Right? So I did not know that this was, I didn't know.
Thank you for your patience and tenacity to keep going.
I had people bothering me about it. My mom in particular.
Yeah.
das heißt,
You still writing that book? I can't get to the novel to come out. This is out 2 books of poetry.
Right.
Or 1 book of poetry, and then she asked
Wow. I would very much like to hear from the opening few pages of the book. Thank you. Okay. Ja.
Ja, jetzt beim Mikrofon. Also genau, wenn ich dann in die Einstellung gehe, dann kann ich. Genau, da kann ich ja die Quelle dann aussuchen.
Chapter 1, Blood and Light. Nearly 2 centuries before the boy who was shot dead at the intersection of First and Bank stood up in his own blood and spoke his name as if it were just given to him. There was a town named ours, founded by a mysterious and fearsome woman, right where the boy had been shot.
Also weißt du, da wo ich den Ton auch dann einfaden lasse, da bin ich in der Einstellung. Da kann ich ja das Gerät dann einstellen. Ja, also da, ja, ich weiß gar nicht, wie ich dir das jetzt beschreiben soll. Okay. Genau, ja. Okay, ja. 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 Okay, genau, da bin ich jetzt. Microfanery, Intel Smart Sound Technology. Da steht da.
The whole hood had rocked at the sound of the bullets popping off. Then he dropped, and they all gathered, hymnless and weathered, to see yet another
Complete
one of
Audio.
his moments.
Ja, okay. Ja, das. Okay, ja, ich hab's.
His
Ja,
wounds
alles
no
klar.
more than
Danke dir.
as he touched
Ciao, ciao.
himself where he had been shot. A resonance of pain still there until it too departed, the smell of burnt cornbread in the air that someone had abandoned so that he wouldn't have to lie there for hours alone. Yes, they had all left something behind to stand in that street together, blocked off from touching him and told to back up, had yelled at them as though they were to have as little care and consideration for the boy as the ones who had shot him. He dusted himself off and looked around at the faces looking back at him. What the fuck, my nigga? Peeling from a mouth astounded into a beautiful circle. The whole block went quiet except for that question, and the loud suddenly sparked up in the crowd despite the cops right there. But who could give a fuck now when the dead have risen? And he heard his name screamed from someone in the crowd, the voice bright and familiar, but a part of him didn't recall exactly who had said it. He had 2 minds now, one in the future and one from the past. To begin this journey, move backward. The boy's body returns to the hot asphalt. The orange soda slides back into the bottle and the blood back into the boy's warming body. Then the boy's corpse rises and the bullets spin out from the right lung, the neck, the back of the head, the left hamstring, the right buttock, the right triceps, the left scapula, His corpse becomes a living hymn as flecks of bone restructure and re-enter the red-black wound. The broken wet resealed, the white meat sucked back into unbroken muscle, uncooked fat, and closing behind the retreat of the backward flying bullet. The air the bullets once displaced returns from the curve of its displacement. The silver bullets return into the black gun like an unspeakable organ moving back into its dark element. The explosion of gunfire, now the sound of wind hissing, then roaring, then suddenly silent. And the brown finger lifts from its trigger. The boy with his back to the police as the Fanta rises back into his pocket. And further back, weeks ago, the boy is asleep in bed, and a small circle of light leaves his body. The legend begins where that light leads. At the end, the boy may teach you his name.
Thank you so much. When I first read that passage, I couldn't help but think about Trayvon Martin. That was the first thing that came into my mind. For those who don't know, Trayvon Martin was a 17-year-old African-American who was shot to death by George Zimmerman in 2012. And it's a powerful opening because it reimagines death, or it gives life to a dead person. And after all the tragic and enraging deaths through police violence that Black communities are always compelled to witness and endure in the US, but also in Germany, we have our own examples. Recently, Mohamed Rami and Lawrence. So it's empowering to have this image of a young Black man standing up, dusting himself off, looking around. I found that really amazing. But one thing I've learned through my own writing is that not everybody reads in the same way, and not everybody will take the same thing from the hints and the clues, right? So to what extent do you imagine your reader while you're writing? And do you have a target audience in mind?
I try not to imagine a reader because people disappoint you. And I mean that in the most beautiful way, disappoint, shock, whichever word. But in having expectations for them as readers, when I don't want expectations put on me as a writer, seems to be hypocritical. What I want is to be given an opportunity to tell the story as it is, and just be given a chance without there being, I'm wondering, I'm hoping the story does this. I'm hoping the story is hopeful. There's hope in it, but it's a historical, it's from a historical point of view that hope is always challenged. And so it's not a feel-good book, and I think there's an expectation from writers to have that kind of book.
Sure.
Especially now. I mean, the times are hard. Yeah. But I don't want to say that my reader is this, that, and the third, because it undermines their own potential to be expansive. So I know who reads the most, that being Black women in the U.S. They read a lot of books, period, but especially books written by Black people, period. But the story, having a Black woman as a kind of lead, is just what the story needed.
Right.
And I don't want to assume that and put the responsibility and burden on Black women to do anything, but particularly to, feel
we do enough.
but particularly feel like, this book is for you. How do I know?
Yeah.
The book is for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm sharing it with the
That's
hopes
nice.
that we can have a conversation about it eventually.
Sure. You've already mentioned Saint, right? You said, and did I hear that correctly, that you said something like you don't do main characters, or you struggle with the concept of main character?
I do.
Could you talk a little bit about that before we get on to talking about Saint?
Yeah. So Saint is, I call it the core of the story, because everything revolves around Saint. But there are characters who take up a lot of space in the story, and I hadn't heard about people reading it and experiencing as a sequence of short stories. That's new.
Yeah.
But I can see why, because again, everyone has their beginning, middle, and end. These are people who, when I imagine them coming out of enslavement, the voices that they would have had would be ripe for telling a story.
Right.
This is what has happened to me. This is what my future holds. And there are also some characters who were never enslaved, and so they are first generation free. And so they have to tell what their experiences are as well.
Sure.
And so to say that there's a main character, I think, is to take away from the largeness of their plot points and how they come in and out of the story, as would characters if you were watching your favorite nighttime drama. You have, what is her name? The Grey's Anatomy, let's say.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is it good?
It's good.
Okay.
It's a lot that happens.
Okay.
But it's Grey's, but people have their favorite characters that have nothing to do with Grey. And so I'm always thinking how many voices are important or necessary, and this one had about 24.
Right. And I'm glad for all of them.
Oh, I love all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Is there a real-life inspiration for Saint?
For Saint, no. Before the storytelling, yes. My mom used to tell me scary, real stories about her growing up. I'm like, Mama, don't tell me no more stories. I don't want to hear anything. And about her dreams, she would have prophetic dreams. And I told her if she ever dreamt about me, don't tell me. And so one of the stories she told me is in the book, one that my grandfather, her father, told her about a woman who was looking for his sister. And she came to the door. He lived in Indiana at the time, which is very rural. And the woman knocked. It was hot summer's day. She said, hey, is T in? That was his name of his sister. She's like, no, she's not in, but you can come in. It's hot. And she moved as though she was going to enter. Oh, okay. And then she stopped, like froze in front of the doorway. And she stepped back. She's like, you know what? I'm going to wait until she gets back. What my grandfather used to do was salt his thresholds. And so there'd be salt in the window, salt across the floorboards, at the doorway. And that woman would not cross that doorway. And so I'm imagining this woman, and he keeps trying to get her in. And I'm like, you're trying to get the demon in. She's not coming into the house. She can't come into the house. And she would tell me stories like that.
Oh, wow.
So that's...
I just need to interrupt you. Is that Simone there? Simone, I don't have a clock, so I could go on for quite a few days, actually. Okay, thank you. Good. I won't go on for days. Okay, thank you. What I wanted to talk about is, who is Saint? So Saint is a woman who lives in the 1830s.
Yes.
And is living during a time when there is enslavement in the United States.
Yes.
But I don't know, I don't want to also spoil it, but
It's hard to do,
it's hard not to spoil this book. And anyway, I think even if we spoil, there's still so much, and there's no way we could possibly do justice. So it's okay to give a couple
And the
of hints.
journey to what we spoil is really important.
Exactly. So, but she's a conjure woman, am I right? And she founds a town called Ours, which is a place where people who have been enslaved can live as free people, and also the next generation is born and raised as free people.
Yes.
And there's a kind of, how shall I put it, like a price to pay, perhaps. Well, it's an explanation of what does it mean to be free and Saint's role in that.
Right.
So my question is, there's so many questions. I want to ask you, is Saint capable of love?
Everyone is capable of love. Is Saint willing to practice the capability, to explore the capability? That's what the book is deeply exploring. For her, the aftermath of love is tragedy. Every person, everything that she's loved has been taken away from her. And so she's extraordinarily cautious with not just expressing love, but allowing herself to experience it in return. But I think in order for that to be your current state of mind, that means you have the capacity, or used to have the capacity, and then you learned whatever the lesson was. But instead of it healing in a way that allowed for a future, it left a callous in a way that didn't allow for her to see just the original body of the situation, which is, I need people in my life. Yeah, so she's capable of it. Is she willing to be hurt the way that she had been hurt? That's,
I felt for Saint. I know some people struggle with her.
Oh, because she's not nice.
She's a bit prickly. But I really liked her. I don't know, I liked the journey that she goes through. And I was grateful for you showing us somebody like Saint and really investing the time. And you can tell that you loved this character. And
she's my G. I love Saint.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be a mammy figure.
Yeah.
Who's hugging everybody. And,
what's a mammy figure for those who don't know?
She's everyone's mother. Everyone's, no matter how old she is. She's everyone's, she cares for everyone. No one has to give to her. She sacrifices everything for her kids, for the community, for a man. Ooh, boring. And so I didn't want that. So Saint is mean. She's self-centered.
Yeah.
She does a lot of good.
Yeah.
But she also has zero patience. And Like there's a scene where someone is obviously in a lot of pain, but because he's blocking her way on a bridge, she takes her cane and pokes him in the forehead and he falls over. She's like, move out of my way. And then of course he crashes, his ribs are broken. He's like, she's like, no, move. Because she knows that he's like that over something stupid he did.
Yeah.
So she doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of patience for things like that. I didn't want her to be the magical Negro
Yeah.
who's always using the abilities to push other people forward, particularly white characters.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a full-fledged, very complex woman.
Because, you know, like I was saying, Black writers are writing in this kind of context where mostly the people who make the decisions and buy the books and so on are, it's a very white industry, and the readers are predominantly white. So there is a temptation, I think, for Black writers to try and kind of write something that will be acceptable or, you know, fit into something. But you went completely out there and said, no, this is what this woman is like,
Yes.
and you were going to have to deal with her on her own terms.
On her own
And,
terms.
Yeah.
And then it's also, I think, this might sound strange, I think it is unfair to white people who think that they can't imagine, you know, a Black woman. For those who can't, they can't imagine anything. So
Yeah.
we're not writing for...
Yeah, that's true.
We're not writing for people who don't have imaginations.
Yeah.
And so if you have the capacity to imagine,
Yeah.
then the book is for you.
Yes.
I just want to put that out there. It's this way, like, and a lot of publishers do this. Well, we don't have the audience for that.
Yes, yes.
It's your fault that you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
the audience for that.
Yeah. Yes. There were publishers in the audience, so
Oh, good.
I hope so anyway. I would like to have an example now in the text. There's a relationship between Saint and Abba. Oh, wait, it's page 62 to 66. And maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about the relationship between Saint and Abba before you
Yes.
dive in, just to give some context.
Yeah, Abba is the first person that she freed from enslavement. He was 18 when she did it, and he's pretty much with her for the majority of his life. There's a 10-year span where they're apart, and then she finds him free in Philadelphia. He's having a terrible time, and so she's like, I've created ours, I'm building this town, I want you to help me do this. And so he goes with her, but in that 10-year period, something has happened to her that changed her. And so he doesn't quite recognize Saint anymore.
Okay.
Even though she hasn't aged. That's the thing, she doesn't really age. So he's like, you still look the same, but something happened to you. You're darker.
Yeah.
And so this is after he has spent time with these two characters, Luther Phillip and Justice, who had climbed a tree, and what they found in the tree was proof to Abba that something dangerous could come into ours.
Yeah.
Abba visited Saint before sunset. What he carried in his mind refused to wait and interrupted his appetite, such that the open desire he had earlier for food, prompted by the smell of stew and pies his own fruit made possible, left no traces after he put distance between himself and the other households. If Saint had prepared dinner, no evidence showed. Sitting on the porch as expected, she nodded at Abba by candlelight, her porch table catching the end of sunlight and the dim moving flame of the burning wick. Her porch smelled like citrus. A stack of lemon rinds cupped each other in front of her next to a small jar of honey. 2 cups of water waited on the table. Saint didn't allow anyone into her home. Abba knew this and wasn't offended, after all these years, to be forced to sit outside as mosquito fodder. Maybe that's why.
Ah.
Yeah. Though the scent of citrus appeared to deter the insects. The one candle made a dance of everything, including Saint's face that without warning transformed behind the flames, neither frowning nor smiling, between grimace and mercy. Gradually, Abba got used to the contours created by the flame's light, and Saint, regardless of how candlelight carved into her, remained her usual, readable self. Abba knew she expected him. Saint appeared cheerful, though cautious in her own quiet way. Her staff lay across her lap, its snake heads gulping the approaching dark. Saint's companion stood in the doorway that opened behind where Abba would sit. That woman, never comfortable, Abba said to himself, and then ascended the porch stairs. Their friendship had been in limbo for some time now, ever since Abba asked Saint once if she had gone too far with clearing out the plantations. He smelled the sky break open with light after he finished his question, and Saint examined him as if he were a boil blemishing the beauty of God. You like them so bad, you can stay here and burn with them, Saint had said at the last plantation they raided. She then adjusted her companion's collar, touched his face, and shook her head. When she walked away in the wake of Abba's silence, he watched her hard, wondering if what she did to that man who followed her, she could also do to him. Now, he stood on the top step of Saint's porch, half smiling and avoiding her companion's dark figure blocking her doorway. I saw you making your way to me a mile away, Saint said. She motioned for Abba to take a seat, and he did. 2 miles, said Abba. That's closer to the truth. What brings you? Banter and a warning. Is the warning in the banter? Maybe so, maybe so. Saint motioned to the cup of water closer to Abba. She took a sip from her own cup. He indulged and proceeded. Found 2 boys in the woods today while picking berries. Dead or alive? Between the 2. Justice and Luther Phillip. Justice and Luther Phillip. Strange boys. No stranger than you. No stranger than me. But strange nonetheless. What is your warning, Abba? Saint's patience dropped like the temperature. The boys say they found scalp with hair, teeth, and maggots in the big tree. I imagine the storm winds tossed them up there. That's what I imagine, unless. Abba looked up at Saint, and she smirked, then dropped all emotion. I do not use human scalp, Abba. That's what I thought. I thought that. So, Abba clapped once joyfully. The wind it is. He watched Saint for a reaction, and when she denied him one, he continued. The wind had a warning in it, and I'm telling you the warning. The wind is all warning. Not much else but heartbreaking news ride the wind, but it rode it into eyes. Wind goes where it chooses. What else can ride into eyes then, Abba said. Saint took a sip of water. Her eyes stayed on Abba. He had insulted her, and he had meant to. What danger has ever knocked on your door? None. For me. Come again? Abba leaned in. When he spoke, his breath made the candle's flame wobble. What you did with that watermelon, Saint, he asked. That you bought from me? What you do with it? Used it. How? Abba smiled when he asked. It mattered. Used, but not ate. The distinction delighted him. If you have something to say to me, you're not the only one who know root work, Saint. You brought with you a bunch of no longer slaves stolen from places that birth root into the world. We not all at the end of our forgetting. Some of us still got African remembrance. You the one to do it best. Best not what's being argued. The wind is what's being argued. What the wind carry and what a watermelon carry, often the same thing. Saint yawned. You talk like a riddle, and you live like one. Abba, you come to insult me all night? No insult, just wandering in my wonder. Abba finished his water. I worry about you. You worry about yourself. Are you not powerful over myself? If you brought us here to protect us, fine. You can't hurt us, though. You left a hurt with the slavers. You can't hurt us. I was surprised out my face to see Justice when he was born, and that he lived this long. Everybody in town knew what that watermelon was for. 10 years old, though. You must have changed your mind 10 years ago. Saint laughed, pulsed with ire, but not toward Abba. My mind was changed for me. Saint, I worry about you. I worry about me too, Abba. I do. Saint paused, her mouth parted, but the words sat on her teeth. I was one of the first you freed. We known each other a long time. Decades, Saint said. I just hope you realize you brought us all here so we can realize it with you. Don't seem like you know. Saint hummed one good time, and that was that. That's all I came to say, Abba said, standing. Should have said it when the sand was first needed. Maybe the sand was most needed now. I got so bad I didn't want to sell you fruit no more. Seemed that way. Abba sniffed his upper lip. You bitter toward me? He asked. A little. You got any more melons back there? Get off my porch, Abba, before I put you in a jar, Saint said, and blew out the candle. Smoke curled in the hug of Abba's laughter.
Thank you so much.
That's a fun scene.
Yeah. It's really beautiful listening to you read as well. Like you can really hear the characters coming alive. It's a great pleasure to watch it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there going to be a film or a series or something?
Oh, God.
I even want to ask you that, I know, but these people haven't heard the answer.
I would have on Chanel now. I don't even like Chanel. No, I don't wear Chanel. I would love that. I think it is written very perfectly for that to happen.
Yeah.
I can't control that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just putting it out there.
Put it out there.
We're just putting it out there.
Yeah. Chanel, please. That's the colonial, that's the colonization, yeah.
Yeah, it's in us.
It's in us.
It is in us. I was thinking about, going back to that subject, writing characters who are not immediately likable, right? Which I really love. It's a great challenge, and it makes me slightly nervous when I do it, but I think things that make you slightly nervous often are the things most worth doing. So when I think about these characters, I think, of course, because Queen Toni, I think about Sethe in Beloved, right? And I think I heard somewhere that Toni Morrison herself was also inspired by Chinua Achebe and his Things Fall Apart, Okonkwo, terrible guy. But I loved reading him. And I wondered if you had any literary influences when you're writing and conceiving of these people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Morrison, of course. But then there's also Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Jose Saramago, Zora Neale Hurston, particularly with the sociological, the anthropological work that she did. Though Their Eyes Were Watching God, the beauty of that book, of course. There's a lesser-known writer, Carol Olivia Heron, who wrote a book called Thereafter Johnny. It's a very slim book, but it reads like a dense poem. Love that. And then there are the folks who have racial issues, but you take what you can. So Faulkner.
Yeah.
You know, fantastic writer, but his racial politics. He wanted to do well, but he kept using the N-word. It's like, brother.
Don't they say the path to hell is paved with
It's
good
great with good
intentions?
intentions.
Yeah.
Oh, those is pebbled with it. But the way that he wrote also inspired Morrison.
Yes.
She was inspired by Faulkner and also
That guy, whose name I forgot.
whose name you forgot. And then Cormac McCarthy is another one who has very weird, it's very violent racial occurrences in some of his books. And so I just take what works and then leave the other trash.
Yeah, sure. But it's
behind.
also, it gives you information, like she wrote about this in Playing in the Dark,
Yes,
right? So it's interesting to me because sometimes so in Germany there's often been a struggle or a debate around how do we deal with literature that's considered canon, maybe even children's books that everybody has read and grown up with, but actually, with the benefit of hindsight, actually, black people always knew they were racist, but that's another story. With the benefit of hindsight, we recognize that these stories, languages, images are problematic. What do we do with them now?
Read
and
them.
then, yes.
And then you talk about why they're fucked up.
And talk about it. But there is a world where some people are like, no, we don't need these stories. We should be making space for other stories, maybe. I mean, if we're going to have to choose between this book or that book, for example, in the school curriculum, then why go through the stuff that's, let's say, outdated, to use a neutral term.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because there's something that happens to writing when only contemporaries are read. It becomes banal and an echo chamber. So that doesn't necessarily mean, because Toni Morrison is not a peer of mine, so I don't mean that, but I mean, when people say that, they typically also mean anything that is older. So there's a slippery slope with this idea of what is worth reading.
Yeah.
So if anyone can say, well, that book is not worth reading, then also they can say that about your book.
Yeah.
So read everything, dissect everything, dismantle everything, put it back together,
Yeah.
and use it to inform your own politics,
Yeah.
your own behavior, your own artistry. That's what I believe. Now, there is a risk of spending too much time on the canon, right? Honoring it in that way. But we have a lot of time. Our concept of time is screwed up. And it's capitalism that does that. And so what if there was a class that would say, so this is the text that is problematic,
Yeah.
right? We're going to read it, we're going to talk about it, but then this is a text maybe that's more contemporary or is a contemporary of that problematic book. And let's put them in conversation.
Yeah.
That is a much, I think, braver and wiser way to spend our time in thinking about literature.
Can I devil's advocate?
Absolutely. Yes. Let's do it.
I like this. I like where you're going. And at the same time, I'm having heart palpitations at the thought that, for example, say my children are in school and a teacher has said, we're going to do what Philip B. Williams said at the International Literature Festival Berlin.
What book would that be?
Oh, it could be, hey, everybody in the audience, what do you think this book could be? I'm going to say Pippi Langström's. Is that, yeah.
Who?
I'm so glad that was your...
Pippi Longstocking?
Yeah, Pippi Longstocking, yeah.
See, in the U.S., she has a movie,
Yeah, she has one here too, no? Yeah.
and so I just remember seeing the movie. So she's a problem with that book.
Let's not go into detail, because that... Yeah. Oh, Philip! I'm going to have to kill your darling here. But let's just say that might be a book,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then put it next to a book written by a contemporary author who explores traveling around Africa.
Yeah.
Let me keep this short. And you're saying put them in conversation, but I'm saying nice in theory, but in practice, I'm scared what that teacher will say and what will come out in the end.
I think that's too young.
Oh, they're too young.
Maybe that's a high school, middle school, high school thing to do.
All right.
Because there's a way to
Okay, we need another book. Goethe Faust. Oh, do you know Faust?
Faust, the devil, he summons the devil for wishes.
Yeah?
I know Faust.
Okay, so reading that
Yeah.
with this teacher,
Yeah.
I'm worried.
I enjoyed Faust.
Okay. Good.
The book that really angered me that taught me how to write was Blood Meridian by
Okay, I
Cormac
don't know
McCarthy.
that.
It is gorgeously written. I wouldn't tell anyone to teach it.
Okay.
But if you teach it, it has to be paired. And what the professor who taught it to my class did is she paired it with Ishmael Reed as a way to make fun of
Okay.
Blood Meridian. I was like,
Okay.
oh, I see what the problem was with Blood Meridian, and also how satire is a way to undermine the canon. And so I didn't think of it as, oh, I'm reading this work and I have to honor it. It's the tradition of whatever. I was like, oh, it exists, and it inspired this
Yeah.
other book
Yeah.
by this powerful black writer who also is problematic, homophobic, misogynist. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, there is a way that we wouldn't have gotten Flight to Canada if there wasn't this
I see
book
what you're
that-
saying, yeah.
Yeah. And that was a college level, so maybe that is a place to do it.
But you hear what I'm saying?
I absolutely hear
we
what you're
need the
saying.
people to feel confident, let's
Yeah.
say, being
And
able
you have to be a good teacher.
You have to be a good teacher.
That's the biggest issue. If we can agree on that.
Miriam,
maybe.
do I hear you saying yes? Do you want to give a comment? You have to come to the mic, though. Is the microphone on? Simone, is the microphone on? Okay, please come and say something. Yeah. Sorry, I know Miriam's going to say something amazing.
No. I feel very nervous. I'm going to keep my mouth shut for the rest of the
No, please talk. Please.
No, I was
So,
just going
could
to
you just say you're an educator and you're a mother, so you're speaking from multiple perspectives. Yes.
Exactly. And I think I like your idea in theory, but I think the problem is that the teachers
Yes.
don't even recognize why the books are problematic,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think we need the right teachers.
Yeah.
We need the teachers that are able to do that.
And we
Yeah.
might not have them.
No.
Nobody, we don't have them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with
So-
that 100%. So don't do it. No,
So
no.
no, I like the idea. I think it's something that we can strive for. Coming back to ours, and I was going to move on to the subject of violence.
Yeah.
Or maybe, violence, sorry, we haven't talked about violence. So there is a lot of violence in this book. Like, between the lines, we know that it's the setting already, there's enslavement.
Right.
I love, by the way, as a side note, that you break up the dominant understandings by using things, small phrases like so-called master.
Oh, I wasn't calling nobody a master in this
Nobody's
book.
called master
No.
in this book, so-called
No,
master.
so-called master, yeah.
And enslavement is a phrase that also is used.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you, though, because some things are really explicitly described. How did you do that in the sense of when you're writing something like that, you have to, I imagine, somehow go through it, like really see it, to be able to describe it in the level of detail that you describe it. How was that possible? What did you sacrifice to be able to do that?
I grew up on horror movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's nothing that, yeah.
There's the horror person. Yeah.
I grew up on, and so for there to never have been a black final person, a final girl in particular.
Yeah.
I'm thinking through like how to work with that. I'm trying to see if I can write horror eventually. But I grew up on horror. It was my mom. My mom is a creepy, brilliant woman. She had me watching a movie, all of the movies. I don't even
Which
want to
one?
get into.
Like,
Well, it was everything that had horror in it. So I saw all of the Halloweens.
Okay.
I saw all of the.
how old were you when you were watching this?
When
Okay, carry on.
I saw anything that had a ghost, a demon, a doll, something that somebody made up. I saw it. I saw killer dolls. It was a movie I couldn't even watch. I was like this, and I would do this, and I just had to get out of it. So violence is nothing to me because its depictions are in me to do. What I didn't want to do was to have people lynched in real time, whipped and I didn't want 12 years a slave in the book.
No.
So the moments of violence that happen are, some of them are revolutionary. Like,
Look, I was here for it. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a couple. Wait a second, I've got to make sure I get the names right. Eloise?
Eloise and Amelia. They were
Eloise
10.
and Amelia,
They were 10 people up.
Amazing. And I was just like, is that a click from someone who's read this book? Oh, okay. Just to say, these are amazing.
What? Okay. Tell me here. What?
Well, at the end.
Oh, they tore them up.
But the line, "Are we the monsters?"
Are we the monsters?
Broke my heart.
It broke my heart when I wrote it.
Yeah,
It broke my heart when I wrote it because the answer is no,
they are not.
but to someone they are. So there are two women. I'll do this.
Yes.
There are two women that come and they come in and they come out. But for one of the characters, Joy, she's always remembering them. But Eloise and Amelia, they live in New Orleans, and they run a boarding house. But Amelia on the side has a sex work. She's a sex worker. She makes sure the money is right and that they're never in trouble with the police. And Eloise makes sure that nobody acts up in the boarding house. And so they run a tight business. But every other day or so, there are men dropping dead in New Orleans. And it's not random men, it's very chosen. And so there's a serial killer that's going around. Eventually you find out who it is, but when we think about Amelia and Eloise, they play no games with this boarding house and with protecting who's staying there, because a lot of them are themselves criminals, but they've been forced into the criminality because of injustice, poverty, and they also protect women, right, who come and go.
Experience domestic violence.
Things like that. And so oftentimes when there's violence in the book, the readers have called it the revenge fantasy they've always been waiting for. I wasn't thinking about it that way when I was writing it, except for that very last war scene.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, they got it. This tear it up.
Yeah.
So I don't have this reaction to violence in that way because it happens, it occurs. The source of violence is what I'm sensitive to.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know, so if someone getting cut up, I'm like, well, you know, people get cut up all the time. What is the reason behind it? You know, and then that changes the way I can navigate it.
So thinking about writing Black community, there's a question for me about, but you've already answered it actually, but there's a question for me about, Black people and spectacles of pain and suffering, and when we write depictions of Black pain, to what extent we have to be careful not to just reproduce stereotypes or reproduce, trauma for the sake of it.
Yeah, and that's a craft question.
Right.
What is in scene and what is in summary?
Right.
And I think too often things like that are put in scene, and then the scenes last forever.
Yeah.
You know, do we need to see Solomon like this for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we don't.
Yeah.
I think, there are brief moments of summary like that happened, but the moments that are, because there's, when Madam Jenkins is telling Joy the story about the girl that she had to help save from this doctor who prides himself on a kind of gynecological work, right? And she finds a girl and she pretty much salvages this girl. I wanted that to be in scene. I didn't want what he did to her to be in scene.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
And her caring for her is far more important to this idea of what is ours, what belongs to us.
Yeah.
She belongs to us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to braid her hair.
That's beautiful.
I'm going to dab the blood. So that scene of caring, aftercare from the violence. And then, of course, and this is a spoiler, he gets killed. Good.
Yeah.
Good. His eyes are in a jar. Good.
It's great.
And Saint did it.
Yes. So read the book. Read the book. That's really, it's so helpful that you've said these two words, scene and summary.
Yes.
Brilliant. That's super helpful for me. Philip, in your various roles as poet, novelist, academic, teacher, public intellectual, you can have a deep influence on many, many people.
It's frightening.
It's a responsibility.
Yeah.
No pressure. How has your view of yourself and the reception of your work changed throughout the years?
Oh, I love myself.
Oh.
And I have a language for it, like a vocabulary for it. Writing hours taught me really how to love.
Okay.
It was, because, there was, I think Corona happened, still happening. 2020 is when we had the lockdowns and things like that. And so if I had started this version, 2018, that means I had 2 years of writing in an utter isolation, loneliness, sitting with myself, dealing with myself, smelling myself, all those things. And it was really difficult to reconcile that I had to write these characters who were full of love when I was not feeling loved at all, from the outside coming in or from the inside roiling, and having to figure out, well, how are they going to get through this? How are they going to get past this? What are they learning? I was teaching myself the same thing. And so I'm hoping that when people read the book, and it has happened, we had someone on the phone was saying, I have to go to therapy because I feel like I'm one of your characters. And so I have to talk about that. And the character was Saint. You can't be out there thinking, or you can, but do talk to someone if Saint,
sure.
if Saint resonates with you.
Yeah.
I want to be able to bridge other people to their interiorities, with my writing.
Awesome.
You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to say this is just a story. This is a book. You make of it what you make of it, but do see if there's, a kind of path toward empathy is not the word I'm looking for, but resonance.
And your teaching, as well. You're teaching creative writing in Leipzig.
I did.
Oh,
I'm
you
done.
did. You're
Yeah.
done. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one of your workshops was on poetry about loss and grief.
Loss and grief.
Yeah. One of the most moving poems I've read about this subject for some time, actually, is one of yours. And again, it's
Oh,
in
I know where you're
Mutiny.
going.
Yes. That was a good lead,
That was a
right?
great segue.
Yeah. So would you mind reading this poem for us, which is...
Yeah.
Actually, I'd like you to say the title.
Yeah.
And ignore my score. Sorry
No,
about that.
these are beautiful to me. Yeah. And this is what the book looks like, It's all red and. Final poem for my father misnamed in my mouth. I lost my father to an overdose when I was 16. Sunlight still holds you and gives your shapelessness to every room. By noon, the kitchen catches your hands, misshapen sun rays. The windows have your eyes, taken from me, your body. I reorder my life with absence. You are everywhere now where once I could not find you, even in your own body. Death means everything has become possible. I've been told I have your ways. Your laughter haunts my mother from my throat. Everything is possible. Father light washes over the kitchen floor. I try to hold a bit of kindness for the dead and make of memory a sponge to wash your corpse. Your name is not addict or sir. This is not a dream. You died and were buried 3 times, once after my birth, again against your hellos, shedding into closing doors, your face a mask I placed over my face. The final time, you beneath my feet. Was I buried with you then? I will not call what you had left anything other than gone or sweet perhaps. I am not your junior, but I fell in love with being your son. Now what? Possibility was a bird I once knew. It had 1 wing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you okay?
Perfect. Are you good to go?
So
I
this
can
is,
write a little bit.
say that
I
again.
can write a little bit.
You can write a
I
little
can write
bit.
a little bit.
You got this.
You have to tell yourself because you have to do it again. And
Yeah,
again and again.
yeah. But you feel it, no? You can feel the,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That doesn't sound convincing at all. No, this is great. Yeah. It's hard. It is hard.
But I wanted to say this, that, yeah, the work of a creative writer and what you do is so important because you put yourself out there, right? You harness these emotions that you're going through, they're really hard. You find a form and put them into words. And you find beautiful, not just any words, but beautiful words. And then people who read them, when it works, they'll read this and they'll kind of nod and go, yeah, that's exactly how it feels. And that's it. I feel seen. I feel understood. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the time, if we can have some lights, when the audience can ask some questions if you would like to. There's 1 right here, 2,
This one.
3 at the back. It's hard for me to see. So can we start with the first 3? Could you come forward to the microphone, please? 2, 3. You can come to the stage, the 3 people I've chosen, and then the chosen one.
It's your turn
Yeah,
now.
yeah, please.
My question is, how did you come up with the names for your characters? They're not necessarily traditional, but very, very beautiful and thoughtful. And I just kept wondering, how do you come up with them?
That's a great question. I don't know. Because, okay, so I'm writing, I'm working on what could be the next novel, and I have a list of names I just think sound great. But next to them are reasons that they could be named that. And so there is, oh, I can't even remember, but I know for, and our saint is named Saint because there's a way that, thinking about African traditional religions that have been syncretized to Catholicism, they would be aligned with a saint, those particular spirits. And so having her be known as Saint is a signal to her practice as a conjure woman, as someone who knows hoodoo, voodoo, maybe Santeria, you know, like she's in that. And so that's where her name came from. And with Justice, his parents, you know, named him that because this is a child that they felt redeemed them. Like there was their redemption story to have them. So I think thematically, I try to match names with what the character is going to experience in the novel.
Can I ask, what's the backstory of Essence? How did you come up with her name?
Essence. Oh, I think I cheated with Essence because she was trying to bring out the essence in Saint. And also there's a way that because she was like the matriarchal head of this maroon colony, she was the essence, the energy of that community too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Can we clap for the questions? I like that.
Yeah.
Hi, so my question is related to the children in the novel,
Yeah.
or the young adults, but let's say children.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm like almost 400 pages in.
Oh, you're
the
in it.
twins.
Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah,
twins.
12.
The twins.
And Luther, Philip, and Justice are also very young. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the children are not children. They're not childish. They're
No.
not children. Can you tell us a bit
Yeah.
more about that, please?
And so with Luther, Philip, and Justice, by the time, if the twins are 12, then they should be 19? No, they should be maybe even their early 20s. I'm bad with math on my own characters. But the twins are, oh, that's a spoiler. Shoot.
Sorry.
No.
We can handle it.
There's something about the twins that their wisdom is part of their process of being alive, right? So they have an innocence to them, but the way that they process information and read people, they've been here before, like they know what's going on. Luther, Philip, and Justice, they don't have that kind of way of engaging with the world, but there's also a way that they are first generation free. They have none of the traumas of having been enslaved. And what helps them to grow and maybe pushes them to grow a little bit fast is they have absolute freedom to explore brotherhood and intimacy without interruption. And I think that can help propel a kind of emotional maturity and also dangerous emotional territory because you have no one who can guide you through that. And so they're growing up fast for spiritual reasons, but then also for just being the first of a kind without having restrictions.
Okay. And can you also have a word short about Francis?
Oh, Francis is amazing.
Francis.
Thank you.
Yes. Francis comes a third of the way into the novel and then becomes their own kind of centerpiece. She does not care what gender you identify her as. So there are characters who say he, and there are characters that say she. They is not used in the book. I think they is too contemporary, and I couldn't figure out how to put it in the book without it being confusing. I think I can do it now, but then I couldn't figure it out. I was like, oh, just capitalize the T. But I couldn't figure it out. But he and she within that binary, she doesn't care. For most of the book, she goes through she. Francis has his own, and I also flip, his own conjure abilities, but he does not know where they come from. They are frightening to Saint because they pose a threat to Saint, and no one poses a threat.
Can you describe
The abilities?
Yeah, because that's quite amazing as well.
Oh,
Oh, you don't want to?
I mean, it's not really a spoiler. You figure, I mean.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll do one of them. Francis has the ability to, whatever violence is inflicted upon her automatically happens to the person who inflicted it. And so if you shoot Francis, it's not like the bullet turns around. It's inflicted, but the bullet wound explodes on the person's chest who aimed at Francis. If you try to drown her, you're suddenly full of water.
Yeah.
And that frightens a saint.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's very good to read, though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I love reading that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a page of a list of all the ways that people have tried to,
Yeah.
to hurt her, and it just happened to them.
There was another question from someone at the back. Oh, there's
They
a mic
brought a
there.
mic too, yeah.
Okay.
Is the person you were when you were thinking about the story, the writer you had to become in order to write it, and the author you are now when the book is published? How do those three identities, person, writer, author, differ from each other?
Person, writer, author. I think when I realized that they didn't defer, they didn't have to defer, is when I was able to have peace. I was able to have peace because the life that I live informs the writing, it informs the artistry. So I had to go out there, I had to have my heart broken, I had to have bad sex, I had to eat good food, I had to be nervous in front of
Was there
strangers.
bad sex in the book? No.
There's no bad sex.
No, I didn't see it.
There's good
I
sex.
missed that. Yeah.
I can write a sex scene. And it's because I know what I wish I would.
Anyway, carry on.
But yeah, so and also me being an educator, what is the book that I wish I had when I was coming up?
Sure.
And so, of course, I love Morrison, but I wanted to push it even further, more deeply into, this, what some would even call fantasy, but it's not quite that. So yeah, the young me has his imagination fulfilled by some of the things that are happening here. The teacher me has a book that is full of all of my theoretical, philosophical wanderings. And then the artist me is absolutely proud that I was able to even accomplish this without having to compromise
Yeah.
what I wanted to write. Everything that I wanted to happen nothing was edited out. And I needed each of those three people, the naive me, the hurt me, and the still healing but wiser me, to all, figure out that they're one person. They call it the shadow self, right?
Yeah.
You have to talk to the child you, to fix the child wound. All of those things had to just be okay with me.
Yeah.
And so and I think I see that in the writing of the next book because it's harder for different reasons. And I'm enjoying it in a different way that does not have any kind of insecurity.
Okay.
It's more so, this is a puzzle, how am I going to solve it? Was that helpful at all to you?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Another 3.
There's one directly in the
One
middle,
there.
one there.
Are you going with the mic? Then I don't have to. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So one there, and then one there. That's number 2, and number 3.
Okay. In the front is number
And
3.
everybody else will have to get their question in at the book signing.
No, it's too long.
Okay. Sorry. No more question.
A short question.
I got you. Okay.
As I hear both of you discuss the book and the characters, I can't help but feel that a lot of the characters or a lot of the book is about a sort of unapologetic reckoning. Sometimes that's sort of the feeling I get. And I can't help but think about how relevant that is, particularly with the situation that happened in the U.S. This past week with the assassination, and certain people expecting Black Americans to perform a sort of empathy, and I say perform because that's precisely what it would be when, in actual fact, we feel no empathy, or certain of us don't, and we don't feel entitled to. And I'm sort of getting that same vibe from some of the characters, like Saint, for example. I just wondered, for you in particular, I assume it was a conscious decision, but maybe for you personally, was that something that you arrived at while you were writing the book? Was it something that you've always had in you from, say, childhood on? Or was it a gradual realization as you, like many of us, realize certain things as we go through life and get older and recognize certain structures and things in society and realize that things are not necessarily the way that we thought they were, that
Right.
we were taught that they were?
Right. I was a rebellious child. I had a nasty mouth as a 3-year-old. I cursed out my mom's friends. I'd like characters to do things like that. In a historical sense, people don't know that that was happening. We always get this kind of watered down, the gentle slave. He didn't want to run away. People were burning plantations down. They were doing very violent things for freedom. And so for me, it was me naturally having that inclination and wanting my characters to at least reflect that bit of the rebellious spirit of my child self, but then also just to be historically accurate in a book that is fiction, right? But why fictionalize that part? There is devastation, and we need to talk about the devastation because it is in direct response to this kind of forced feeling. What is the name of the book? What is the name of the Scenes of Subjection? Saidiya Hartman was talking. And this is very quick because I need to reread the book. But what I remember is she has all of these moments where she's talking about when those who were enslaved were forced to perform happiness, to perform joy, even though they were being tortured. They would have to dance in the cold and be happy and show happiness. But when we are actually happy, it pisses people off, right? That is the historical accuracy, right, to get that right. So I wanted ours to have less of that kind of, who's gonna say jive? I don't know what, like I'm from the 70s, less of that jive. And more of the what is real, which is rage. Rage is real. And I'm not sure that anything can be in ours without an embrace of that rage. And it can't be forced, because then there's a way that we resist being forced to do a thing, right? But it is coming. I feel like it's, what else is there? I don't know what else is left. So yeah, I wanted ours to just be as honest as possible about that. There is a wide history of, Haiti isn't free for no reason, you know. So yeah.
Thank you. Where was the second question again? There.
Hello.
I'm excited to read the book as someone from a neighboring state to Missouri.
Hey.
I'm curious how you put yourself in the 19th century. We talked about literary influences, but can you maybe talk about if you do historical research? How do you, how do you put yourself in the 19th century?
That's a great question. I wanted to write a story that took place during the antebellum period where enslavement was not the main antagonist. So that was the first impetus, was to not have, the slavers be the bad guy in the book. The second part was this idea that the South was just the sin of the U.S. There was enslavement everywhere. And Missouri is a strange state because we consider it now the Midwest, but then it was, I think, considered the South. And there's still a lot of Southern proclivities. I lived in Missouri just for 2 years, and it blew my mind being there. Because I went to Washington University in St. Louis, and just the street Del Mar, north of that, and this was 2012, north of that, the average salary was about $80,000, and south of that was like $300,000. And so just that line speaks to the history of, that area in Missouri. And WashU is always gentrifying and pushing outward. And so it didn't seem fair that Mississippi gets all of this, It's such a bad state. Florida is such a bad state. It's like, well, not think about it as good or bad, but what is the historicity of a place? And so the research that I did was, finding out that Missouri was neutral and then was Union during the Civil, it has a really complex history.
Okay.
And even with that, it was considered a betrayal of the state to fight for the Confederacy during that time, but they still had their people doing it. Very, very strange. Very, very weird. So I did little pieces of research like that, but also because I wanted it to be wholly fiction or mostly fiction, I did as much research as needed so that I could be a good liar. I wanted to be a convincing liar, the convincing storyteller. So yeah.
Thank you.
And there's one more.
Yes, it was here and Oh, you can
Yeah,
come
yeah,
here. Fabienne. Hello.
Hi, I'm the horror person, so I'm gonna stay in line with that. For me, horror is one of the genres that gives me space to so many bad feelings, like rage, vengeance, all of this. And I was just wondering, what is your relationship to the genre now, now that your mom isn't making you watch the movies anymore? And also, have you seen Sinners, and what did you think about it?
I did see Sinners. I liked careful. I liked the first half of the movie more than the second half. I did not care for the vampires.
Broken.
I know. And we can talk about it. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why I did not care for the vampire, but when it was about, let's just do this juke joint, there's something weird in the air, it might be a hang, I don't know what it is. I know you've come back, but even that coming back is weird. Also, Musoka's character, yeah, she was a magical Negro. It's like, it wasn't right. She should have been the most protected, you know? I gave it a 7 out of 10. Because one is beautiful, and it was acted down. And there are some scenes there, I wish I could have, you know, I was envious of them. But then there are other moments, it's like, oh, this is for Hollywood.
Okay.
This is for Hollywood. And so I didn't see the horror because what would have frightened me, it wasn't in the movie. What was in the movie was something that would have made me laugh. I found it more satirical than horror. My relationship to horror now is more about suspense, yeah, but what is the mystery of the fear? When the fear is, as the fear is unraveling, am I learning more about my fear as opposed to having someone else's pretend fear projected on me and thrown onto me? So for instance, when I'm looking at a slasher film, when I see someone fall on the floor, so I'm like, oh yeah, you deserve to die. It's no longer frightening. Like, why did you slip? There was nothing there. You're running from someone who's chasing, knees up. As opposed to then there's someone who's being chased, but there's evidences of some kind of psychological connection to the murderer. I'm like, oh, are they the murderer? Did they do something wrong to this person? And then there's an intimacy. I think fear requires intimacy.
Okay.
And so much horror does not build it doesn't romanticize you, you know, it doesn't romance you.
Did you see Get Out? And if yes, why did you love it?
I did see Get Out, and I actually did love it.
Yeah.
And I think I loved it because I knew where it was going, but the character also knew where it was going. He wasn't stupid. He was like, there's something strange going on here.
Yeah.
And he was like, give me the keys, let's go.
Yeah.
I would have been ready to go too. Everything that made him afraid, I think the responses of his fear made sense. And that's why it was a good film to me.
Yeah.
I do think, I'm going to push a button a little. I do think that racist element, there could have been a little bit more complication with that.
Okay.
I don't think they were desperate enough, the enemies.
Okay.
I don't think they were desperate enough, and maybe because they were arrogant. They had succeeded in a kind of way, but there is something about, they were just too
comfortable. Okay.
I need a little bit more.
Hot tip, Sinners and Get Out. Okay, we're at the end. It's exactly 90 minutes, so I'm going to thank you very, very much for this great conversation. I bought a gift for you. I bought 2 gifts for you.
Oh.
I have a
Books!
great,
I'm a nerd.
great gift, right? I have a book series called Witnessed, which is publications written by Black people living in Germany, but written in English. And there's 7 books in the series so far, and these are the latest 2. So this is number 6 and number 7. And
May I hold them?
you may, and hold them, I guess there's a camera somewhere, I don't know. But one of them is a poetry collection, which is absolutely beautiful, by Anya Saleh, Soon, The Future of Memory, which I really recommend. And also there's the Edited collection. It's like a series of conversations
Okay.
called In Audrey's Footsteps, which
Audre
was
Lorde.
Audre Lorde, edited amongst other people by Heidi Lewis, a friend of mine from the States. And it's a series of conversations called Transnational Kitchen Table Talk. Great,
Thank you.
great conversations. Oh, you're welcome. It's been so nice. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming.
You did it. So, thank you so much. Philip will be signing books in the foyer. I've been told this in the foyer, next to the book table by Dussman. Have a really wonderful evening.
If you don't want the book, buy for somebody. Buy the book.
Buy the book. You don't have to read it, just buy it. No, I'm joking. You have to read it. I always say that about my books. Don't read it, just buy it.
All righty.
Well.